And I always have this defensive attitude of putting across my wisdom and things over there, expecting the other person to understand. Do you think deeper connections and intimacy could be built? Not at all. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I hope you all are doing amazing. Well, you know what? I found my aha moment today. And so I thought that I will share it with you all. And this would in particularly serve, I think, HR professionals. I mean, I was an ex HR professional, so it would serve HR professionals, people who would like to enroll others into their ideas, um, and who wants to really build deeper connections with people and bring in more intimacy in any relationship. And don't get me wrong, intimacy is into me, you see. So, what's that? What I'm talking about? And that is getting out of the bubble. Yes. You know what? Um, when I was working in the corporate as an HR professional, I used to have these moments when I used to really feel frustrated. And I used to have this, um, I would say, rather discussions where I am trying to convince something to the CEO, and the CEO is trying to convince me of something. And then the more I used to push, the more there would be a defense. And then it would be just like push, pull. And we would get nowhere. I am trying to sell my idea related to people expansion, related to the projects, related to salary increase, related to hiring, related to uh, appraisal, promotions, whatever. And then to get that thing, I have to convince, right? But then the more I put my point forward, the more there would be a pushback. And uh, I would be asked to put data, all of that. And I did everything, but yet I found myself, I used to struggle. And I used to wonder, like, why is this person not understanding the simple thing? It is so easy for me to understand this, but it is not lending exactly the way I want the person to understand. And the more I tried to convince, the more there were retaliations. And this has been my struggle. So if you look at, uh, you know, what this is known as is when you do not have the capacity to include contradictions and extremes in your space, and when you're too identified with your perspective, then what happens is enrollment into whatever your idea, your thought process, and even building connection becomes very, very difficult and challenging. And I couldn't figure it out when I was in the corporate. So, as you know, I left the corporate as an HR professional, but then I was trying to really understand that I was always left with this feeling of how do I connect deeply with people? How do I intimately connect with people? And that's when my aha moment. Right now, I'm working with one of the coaches who is fantastic and does great work on relationships, intimacy, building deeper connections with people. And that's when I had this aha moment. And so that aha moment is I do have this parallel reality going on when I tend to listen to another perspective. Now, I'm not talking from a coach perspective now. When I'm in the coaching space, I'm altogether at a very different space. But when I am connecting with someone normally, what happens is I do have this tendency of getting attached to my perspective, getting identified with my perspective, strong rigidity around that perspective. And when I have to really build deeper connections with people or with anybody whom I want to, intimacy is just like into me, you see, meaning feeling the person, seeing the person, understanding them, getting them exactly, right? But for that, if I have this strong, rigid perspective about um, what I think is to be true, and I always have this defensive attitude of putting across my wisdom and things over there, expecting the other person to understand, do you think deeper connections and intimacy could be built? Not at all. And so my aha moment is this, that I have a parallel reality going on as I listen to another perspective. This means I am not listening and trying to understand what the other person is exactly saying, but also letting my parallel reality, my perspective, being um, played at the background. And so what happens is, even if I long for that deeper connection, deeper intimacy with another human being, I will not have. And coming to me because of this identification with a particular self concept or particular perspective, I do not have that intimacy with myself. I do not have that intimacy with myself. That means I do not deeply enough know myself. And so this awareness is a beautiful thing. And I thought I should share with you all because I'm sure if there are people like me, then this will be helpful for you all. Um, our ability to include extremes and contradictions helps us to grow and evolve and helps us to then deeply connect with people and get rid of that parallel um, reality that we live in. If I cannot expand to understand the perspective of another person, if I, the moment another person shares, if my parallel reality kicks in, then what's going to happen is I'll be too identified with that perspective, and I'll make sure that that perspective gets heed, noticed, and the point of view is put across and seen. And so there's no rapport, there's no connection, there's, even if, of course, there is, but there's no deeper rapport. It's very important for those who wants to enroll a person into his or her idea or wants to build that connection to really get the other person's point of view. And for that, you need to really stand across where the person is standing. And for that, you have to have that compassion, that humility, that courage also to put your reality for the time being away and on a clean slate, go and understand the person. And then I think there was a beautiful saying also which says that instead of being understood, first understand. It was told by Stephen Covey, if I am not wrong. Um, I read many books and I forget the names of the exact phrases and the author, but this is how it is. And so sometimes we all know these things intellectually, like what should be done, what shouldn't be done. But in the moments when we are practicing something with our coach, um, and then when we have this epiphany, when we have this aha moment, that's when we become truly, truly, viscerally aware. And that's when our real work starts, because that's when we have a choice to either continue with the old patterns or start with a new pattern. And there is no judgment over here, because we all do these things for certain reasons. I think in my previous videos, I said that instinctive children's survival mechanism. We develop that and then we carry forward. We keep those things which give us joy, less of a pain, more of acceptance, and then we do away with things which, um, wasn't acceptable. So that's it. I think getting out of the bubble and really being aware the moment you find yourself making another person understand your point of view. Instead of that, what if you listen to their point of view, understand it, and then be able to not only accept include your perspective, but their perspective. And this would mean that you've expanded and you're no longer identified with these perspectives, but risen above that and become whole, integrated, and complete in that aspect. And I think for HR professionals, this is a fantastic space to be in, because you know that you have to deal with so many different kinds of perspectives, and to enroll an idea. This is very, very important. Well, that's it I have for today. And if you have any questions, do feel free to write to me. And if you want to be coached by me, then also do feel free to write to me. Get out of the bubble and rock the boat. Even if you're fearful, do take that small bit of courage and move to that direction. Until next, take care. Love you all. Bye bye. Deep bow.